Hello friends, I welcome you back to our channel Dhari. Here we discuss some technical stuff. As you all are aware that we are discussing on AWS in 30 days and today is our day 1 session to begin with. So friends, would you like to master AWS in 30 days? Then follow my channel and subscribe to the playlist. By end of this video, you will understand core concepts of AWS and also you will set up your own AWS Free Tier account. So let's begin. Friends, yesterday we have discussed on day 0 session where we discussed what actually cloud computing was and how the evolution process of cloud computing, and we ended up with this definition which says cloud computing is the delivery of computing services which includes servers, databases, networking, analysis over the internet. So over the internet stands for cloud. Offers faster, innovating and flexible solutions at economies of scale. Okay, so this is the definition of cloud computing. Today we will deep dive into AWS, which stands for Amazon Web Services. So friends, we know what cloud computing is. Now let us try to understand the different segments in cloud computing. We now know what cloud computing is. Let us try to understand types of cloud computing, and we will start with infrastructure as a service, even termed as IaaS. So, infrastructure as a service provides networks, virtual machines, and other of similar categories. For example, in AWS, we can consider EC2. We will discuss on EC2 in our later sessions. But remember, EC2 is one of an infrastructure as a service. Apart from EC2, AWS also provides S3, which is a storage service. Since storage is related to infrastructure, EC2 is related to infrastructure, these things are categorized under infrastructure as a service. The second category is platform as a service, often denoted as PaaS. Platform as a service provides runtime environments, for example, databases and dev environment tools. In this category, we can consider AWS, Elastic, Beans, Talk, and AWS Lambda. The third category is software as a service, also noted as SaaS. So, software as a service is fully managed, the package of application which can be handled over internet, which is also called as cloud. So, software packages which can be completely managed over the cloud comes under this service. For example, AWS Workdocs. Apart from AWS, we can consider Gmail or Outlook. Okay, these are hosted on clouds. Gmail is for Google and Outlook is for Microsoft. We can also consider these things under cloud platforms which provide software as a service. I hope we now understood how many types of cloud computings are there. First one is infrastructure as a service. Second is platform as a service. Third and final, software as a service. Now, let us jump into other core concepts of AWS. Till now, we understood what cloud computing is and what types of cloud computings we have. Now, in this cloud computing, one of the platforms is Amazon Web Services. So, let us try to understand what is AWS stands for and what are the core concepts of AWS. So, friends, let us try to understand what AWS is. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. First, it offers widely adaptable cloud platforms. Second, it has data centers across the globe and also provides 200 plus services via this platform. I hope the definition is clear. Let us try to understand the key benefits of AWS. Listed here are few of them. scalability, pay-as-you-go, global infrastructure, and security. Scalability is increasing and decreasing of resources. To some of us, we feel that decreasing resources is with respect to RAM, where I can scale my RAM based on my application requirement, or I can descale my RAM based on my requirements. But that's not the case. There are two types of scalability which we will be discussing in further sessions. Now coming to the second point, pay as you go. There is no upfront cost. We can register ourselves into AWS and get the benefits of learning and other stuff as well. By the end of this session, you will be registering yourself to AWS platform. At that point of time, I'll be discussing on what are the key benefits or the upfront costs that we have to pay. We will be looking at the billing dashboards as well. Now coming to the third one is global infrastructure. Across the globe, AWS has set up multiple data centers which are categorized as AZs, which we will be discussing in further sessions. Now, coming to the third one is global infrastructure. AWS has set up multiple data centers across the globe, which are categorized based on regions, which we will discuss in further sessions. The last one is security, which is AWS is ISO, PSI, DSS, and HIPAA secured platform. Now let us try to understand AWS global infrastructure. So AWS global infrastructure means AWS operates at multiple locations worldwide, which are categorized into three based on region, availability zones, which we also called as AZs, or edge location. Let us try to understand each concept. Regions are physical locations with availability zones. These availability zones can be multiple in nature. Availability zones are data centers within a regions isolated from failures. We will discuss, but remember this definition. Edge locations are used for caching contents. For example, CDNs. Okay. So let us try to understand. Suppose your application is hosted on AWS and you are using US East 1 region. At sometimes you can also be going with US East 1B region as well. So edge location actually depends on caching of content over the CDNs. I hope we understood what AWS is, what are the key features, and what are the global infrastructure which drives this cloud platform. Now let us try to categorize other core services of AWS. So friends, let us now try to understand what are the core services that are offered by AWS. I have categorized these services into 5 segments. We will discuss this in detail. The first segment which I have categorized is with respect to compute services, followed by storage services, database services. The next vertical within these categorizations are network and security management and monitoring services. Compute services are related to infrastructure. As we discussed, these are with respect to EC2s, Lambdas, virtual machines, so on and so forth. So whatever infrastructure related we are actually getting from AWS or we are consuming from AWS can be categorized under compute services. In compute services, Lambda is a service which is serverless in nature. Next, let us consider EC2. EC2 is elastic containers, where we need some sources like Dockers to run or deploy our applications, right? So we can go with EC2 services. Don't worry, we will discuss everything in details in our 30-day session. Now let's discuss on storage services. Everyone know AWS offers S3 service, which we can categorize under storage service. Here we can save our files, physical files, into the cloud location. The second is Elastic Block Store, EBS. EBS refers to block storage for EC2 instances. The third one we can consider glaciers. So glaciers are miniature of S3 wherein the archival process initiates. Means not for the lifetime we can save our files. After some time, over the expiry of the time, the files will be archived. So this is low cost in nature. Let us try to understand database services. The first one we can consider RDS, Relational Data Services or Relational Database Services. Here we can consider MySQL, Postgre, SQL or SQL Server. All these are offered under database services by AWS. Now let us try to understand network and security. And the first one as Virtual Private Cloud, VPC. So VPC is an isolated private cloud with the organizational specific standards having access to those cloud areas only. The next one is Route 53. So Route 53 actually handles our DNS and other networking configurations. The third is IAM, the User Management Console, which comes under Security and Security, which is offered by AWS. So these things at a high level falls under network and security. If we go with management and monitoring, we can consider CloudWatch and CloudTrail. CloudWatch means to understand what's happening over the network for our applications that are hosted or we are consuming the services of AWS, and CloudTrail actually has step-by-step log process. If there is anything happened which we need to debug, we can go and handle them. We can understand what's happening on our application using these CloudTrails, which has entire logged information. So friends, this is all about AWS Core Services overview. As I told, AWS Core Services offer 200 plus services. And I have categorized few of them into these segments. The first one is compute services, storage services, database services, network security and management and monitoring. For a recap, compute services, we can consider Lambda, which actually falls under serverless compute, EC2. Storage services are S3, EBS and Glaciers. Database services are RDS, MySQL, Postgre, SQL services, and it also provides Dynamo, which is NoSQL type of content, followed by network securities where virtual private cloud computing can happen. Route 53 is used for DNS, IAM for user console management, and management and monitoring we can consider CloudWatch, CloudTrail. So this is all about AWS services. Now let us dive into AWS Free Tier, which is our favorite. So friends, let us try to understand what are the packages that are offered under Free Tier. The first one is EC2. Here we will get 750 hours of free T2 micros per month. The second one is S3, which stands for 5 GB. Third is RDS, 750 hours of databases under T2 micro instances per month. And Lambda, which is serverless, here we can get 1 million free requests per month. So this is the playground where we will play. We will analyze what AWS is, how the console looks like, how things happen. But before going into that, we have to register ourselves into AWS. Now let's jump into that segment. For more information on AWS Free Tier packages, we can log in into https://aws.amazon.com/free. Here we'll get the entire list of packages that are provided under Free Tier by AWS. So friends, we have completed our registration process. We have also gone through how the console looks like. We have seen billing dashboard. We have seen some of the few configurations at a very high level. In day 2, we will be discussing on EC2 and how these things works. and other important services that are provided by AWS. So be in touch with me and we'll make sure that we'll master AWS in our 30 days session. So friends, have a great day and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Till then, Jai Hind. Thank you.